Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Supergirl Season 4, and this is going to be my review for Episode 1, or the premiere for this season, otherwise entitled American Alien. So of course, if you have not watched the episode, go watch it, then come back to this video later on, unless you're just really watching this video to see how Supergirl starts off, I guess, but either way. But obviously last season with Supergirl, I guess the main thing to talk about when talking about this season premiere is the ending, which was like Supergirl being split by the black kryptonite or the rock, we'll just call it the Dwayne Johnson, whatever you want to call it. And one version of Kara just stays there and the other one goes to Siberia in Russia. And we're basically going to have like a sort of like communist Supergirl. I think that's the term people have been using for this version or this character. I know it's like Red Daughter because it's meant to be like the Red Sun storyline, but I think people have been referring to her mostly as Communist Supergirl. I'm sort of confused, but yeah, Communist Supergirl, I guess we'll call her. But that is really the main thing to talk about in regards to what happened. I guess Mon-El left as well, but and Win left. Yeah, there's a couple things that happened, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. But obviously, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below. What did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you have any issues with it? What was your favorite part? Just let me know all of that in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe as well. But we find out that Superman is actually off-world, which is, I think, something good the show has done. Obviously, people might be like, oh, well, that's just lame. But there's always been issues in the past where something massive is happening, something that like Supergirl's really struggling with, and you're like, okay, where's Superman? You know, where is Superman? Like, why isn't he coming to help Supergirl? He is off. He's off planet Earth. He's in Argo City, which is obviously like the surviving part of Krypton where he went last season with Supergirl. So he's there. I'm guessing just hanging with other Kryptonians and hanging with his aunt. I'm guessing. Not too sure. And also we do get some like wrap up and closure from last season where they explain what's happening with Sam, or well, Sam and Ruby, or Sam who was Rain, and they're basically just living their life. Ruby's playing soccer in a 4-3-3 formation with a high press where she's playing a sweeper keeper. I think that's what was said. Maybe not a high press, maybe something like that, but it was a 4-3-3 and she's playing a sweeper keeper. So yeah, there's some details for you. Now we do see Jean is in like, I guess you'd call it like alien counseling, or like counseling for like aliens trying to like assimilate into, or not assimilate, but like, well, I guess assimilate, but like trying to blend in to normal society and just, I guess, the struggles that they're facing. So that was our early hint as to what's going on with John this season, but something happens to him or goes on with him later on this episode, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. And I'm like, I feel like they're not going to really stick with this with the character, but we'll jump into that later on. But we do meet Mercy and Otis Graves fairly early on to this episode. We'll talk about something not frustrating, but just a bit like, oh, really? With them later on in the episode as well, involving another character. But yeah, I didn't think they were going to be in episode 1. I was actually surprised. I thought, because the thing with Supergirl this season is that because Melissa Benoist was filming, not filming, but doing Broadway, they filmed the episodes out of order. So I knew that they'd cast Mercy Graves. Didn't know they'd cast Otis Graves, but I knew they'd cast Mercy Graves. And I was like, okay, well, I wonder what episode she's going to show up in. So I was very surprised as episode 1 because I completely just forgot that they'd filmed out of order. So they cast her like only recently. So I thought she was going to be appearing like episode 5 maybe. But yeah, she shows up in episode 1. So I was sort of surprised by that. But Jean essentially feels pretty strong that like a lot of the attacks, if not all of the attacks, are like anti-alien sort of movements and stuff like that. And Kara is going against him. Now, did anyone feel like Kara felt a bit weird in this episode? Just like it just felt like she was overly positive, but like to the negative side of what Jean was trying to go on about. Now, I don't know if that's an effect of what happened last season where she was split. So I don't know if Kara's meant to be like overly positive because maybe the bad side of her has gone to that, or the bad percentage of her, whatever you want to call it, has gone to that Communist Supergirl. I don't know. Hopefully they explain that fairly soon, or maybe I'm just missing something. But that could be a reason for it. I'm not too sure. But we do get a new character for this season in the form of Nia Nal, who is like a new reporter at Catco. And their introduction scene in the elevator I thought was pretty cool. Well, not pretty cool, but like pretty funny, if you want to call it. I think Nia in this episode was a great new introduction. I'm really looking forward to seeing not only her grow as a character, but also her and Kara's relationship grow. Now, she's meant to be a superhero, I think they're basically I think her counterpart in the comics is the Dreamer. I think that's the name of it. I don't know if that's necessarily what they're doing on the show, but I like what I saw with her. I thought she was pretty good. And I do like the fact that they did really play it off like as if Nia was Kara from season 1, and Kara in season 4 is like Cat Grant. I thought that was pretty funny. Now, for those that didn't know, Nia is the new transgender character for this season. Now, I don't know necessarily if they're going to dive too deep into the character being transgender. That's going to be interesting, but the actress is transgender as well, like Nicole Maines. So I'm not too sure how they're going to play with that, whether it's going to be a focus in regards to her story, or it's just going to be like subtly mentioned. I don't know what they're going to do there, but I have to wait and see. I don't think this episode was the right episode to jump into it because there's a lot of stuff going on. But hopefully they do focus on it, because I think it'd be a really good storyline for television, but also for like people watching to relate to if they are, you know, transgender or anything like that. Now, we do meet Agent Liberty in this episode, which I was actually surprised with. Wasn't expecting him in this episode. Once again, similar to like the out of order episodes and filming, similar to Mercy Graves. Didn't know Agent Liberty was going to be in episode 1. I thought he wasn't coming into like episode 3 or 4 or something. But yeah, he's actually the one hiring Mercy and Otis Graves. They're working for him and doing some bidding for him, which I guess is good connecting it, because from what I've heard, at least the first half of this season is like a villain team up, multiple villains teaming up to go up against Supergirl, and, well, not necessarily go up against Supergirl, but do something that Supergirl is trying to stop. So I'm guessing it's all gonna build up. We know Manchester Black's coming into it. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there. But Agent Liberty looks pretty cool. Now, the thing with Mercy and Otis Graves, which sort of annoyed me a bit, wasn't actually their characters, but was the way that they were connected to other characters, and they used Lillian Luthor instead of Lex Luthor again. So if you're a fan of Superman, you know that Mercy Graves is like Lex Luthor's like you know, helper, if you want to call it. Like, she was in Batman v Superman. She's in the animated show, you know, Where's the Hat and stuff. She was even in Justice League. I think he called them the Mercies or something like that. The end credits scene of Justice League and stuff like that. So, you know, Mercy Graves is very, you know, attached to Lex Luthor, and they've all attached it to like, oh, they were hired by Lillian Luthor, which always frustrates me when they basically swap Lex Luthor stuff and give it to Lillian Luthor, even like the exo suit she was wearing last season. So I wish they would stop doing that, but I'd be shocked if we ever saw Lex Luthor appear on the show, so I guess they have to do it. Now, I did like the bit where Supergirl goes to the abandoned warehouse. Like, what a surprise, an abandoned warehouse where our villains are, or like where things are located. Even like Brainy makes like almost like a meta, almost like wink at the audience joke there, going, oh, you wouldn't believe it, it's an abandoned warehouse. So hopefully Brainy is like that this season. He's almost like the audience, because I think it's like almost like Cisco, and even Win, like what Win was like on the show as well. But it's almost like very Cisco-esque in regards to what they're doing with the characters. So I like that. I thought that was pretty funny. Now, one thing in this episode with John where I was like, oh, okay, I know what they're doing. So they made John basically like a pacifist, like he's against war and battle and stuff like that. And I think we all know why they're doing this. Obviously, they've set it up for it to be like that, I guess. But I think we all know the main reason why they're doing it. It's the CGI with Martian Manhunter. Obviously, they don't want to do it. Now, we are getting Martian Manhunter this season. I think they filmed scenes where David Harewood, who plays John, is in Martian Manhunter attire with like stuff on his face and stuff. So they're doing him this season. Like he's going to be on screen as Martian Manhunter. But they're obviously trying to like not put him in when it's necessary, when it's unnecessary or not needed. So if he is necessary or highly needed, the Martian Manhunter is there, he'll be there. But obviously in the past, they've sometimes put Martian Manhunter in scenes where it wasn't like 100% necessary for him to be there. So obviously they're just trying to cut down costs this season with that character. Now the Camp David scene was pretty cool. Like the anti-EMP tech was pretty cool. One thing that sort of bothered me was when they were on the motorcycles, like Mercy and Otis Graves were riding away on the motorcycles or the motorbikes, and Supergirl couldn't catch up to them. Did anyone go like, hold on, you raced the Flash, you're basically as fast as the Flash when you're flying, but you can't catch up to motorcycles? Like, hold on, that doesn't make sense. We also saw Brainy acting like Win, and obviously this was like to get through to Alex and get like Alex's acceptance, and also it's good for Alex to open up like, yeah, I miss Win and I don't accept change really well. I think this is basically also something to address to the fans, because fans of the show weren't very happy that Win was going. Also, because some people didn't like Brainy. I don't know if they necessarily didn't like Brainy or they just preferred Win. I'm not too sure. But then again, also it could be with the fans not liking change also. So it's almost like they were trying to speak to the fans in that sense as well. But personally, I'm looking forward to Brainy. If he keeps doing like the stuff that I was saying before, like it's almost like winks to the audience and he's just that comedic relief but also being helpful, then I'm all for it. And also you gotta remember he is still that tie to the Legion of Superheroes, so as long as he's on the show, there is still that connection there. And obviously the Legion was something that people liked. So I'm sure we'll get some of that later this season in regards to that connection between him and the Legion. Now, Bruno Mannheim is brought up a couple of times in this episode. Like, he's the reason that Lena is visiting Lilligan in jail, basically just to get information on him and stuff that he'd done. And Bruno Mannheim was actually referenced on Arrow last season in the court case against Oliver. So there's some similarities there, but essentially they use the Bruno Mannheim stuff to get leverage to close the Guardian case and drop all charges. But James actually can't be Guardian anymore due to this. If he is anymore, he's caught, he goes straight to jail. So no more Guardian. But there is a lot of stuff that happens in the end of this episode. One of them is that the president is publicly exposed as an alien. So gonna be interesting to see what happens there. I'm sure that's not gonna make a lot of people happy, especially the ones that were attacking just random aliens on the street. Imagine if they find out that the president of the United States, that's been their president for X amount of years, is an alien. I can see some people getting triggered over that. We then also see Agent Liberty kill Fiona, I think her name was. I don't think anyone really cares, but Fiona, who was like the person leading like the counseling group that John was in, she worked at the bar as well, I think. So yeah, she's dead, but that's Agent Liberty's first kill, and yeah, not much there really to talk about, to be completely honest. But for those wondering about Agent Liberty, he's like basically was like a friend of Superman, then he got let down by Superman, so he's basically getting revenge essentially on aliens. They're going to explain that as we move forward, as you would expect. I think episode 3 is his proper backstory episode, or at least some setup for his backstory or explanation, like a bit of it. So I'd wait till then to like fully judge the character. And then the last scene of the entire episode is that we cut back to that train scene that we saw at the beginning where Supergirl stops it from running off the tracks. And right below that, we see all this rumbling, and it's actually the Communist Supergirl, like the Red Daughter Supergirl, whatever you want to call her, punching into like a room or something, or just punching like a tunnel for all these people to get through. So they're basically like using her like as a human weapon, I guess. But there's not much context there. We don't see what's inside the room. I'm guessing was it a room? It looked like a door. We didn't really get a good look at it, but we'll find out about that next episode, I'm guessing, hopefully. I'm not too sure what they're going to do with this character. I think a lot of people aren't excited for this just because it's taking a storyline which is like an Elseworld storyline, but trying to mix it in with the continuity of the show. So people are still a bit like hit and miss with it. I'm sort of on the fence. I want to see what they do with it. I wouldn't say I'm overly excited for it. But I'll give it a chance. You know, I like to give things a chance. So I'll just see what happens with it. But overall, I thought this episode was decent. My only issue with it is that I don't think it was premiere worthy. This felt like an episode, you know, like an episode 3 or 4, like something you get like episode 16 or 17 in a season. This didn't feel like a premiere. I think it just lacked that oomph, if you want to call it. There was some moments with Agent Liberty and stuff. And even like just Supergirl in general, but just didn't feel premiere worthy. I would have liked something a bit more. I just felt like they were cutting corners every now and then, and you could argue maybe even this felt like an episode 2. It just didn't feel like an episode 1, something to hit out of the gates, especially with Supergirl, where there has been a lot of negativity going into this season from like hardcore fans of the show. Like some of you guys might know the DC TV show, loves Supergirl, isn't looking forward to this season. So I don't know if this episode would really raise your excitement levels for it. But for me, it was okay. Like I wasn't bored watching it, like with some episodes of Supergirl last season. And I like the characters that we're getting this season, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with them. But I just don't think this episode was like I think like the Flash level, or even like Black Lightning, or even what we're probably going to get with Arrow tomorrow. I just don't think it's on that level. And I think they could have done a bit more. Obviously, the scheduling issue with Melissa Benoist could have been a major factor around it, but that shouldn't affect your writing. You know what I mean? That shouldn't affect your writing. She was going to be there to film this episode, so you could have done more with it. But that was my only issue. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? We're in the middle, or you just you're on the fence like me. You just want to see what happens, but you don't really want to choose a side as of yet. Just let me know all of your opinions down there in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.